But okay, you're live. Oh my gosh, the first live session. What I need to do now is, sorry guys, on TikTok, I have to delete because I promoted this link that is no longer active. Let me delete that. Both. Because I'll wait until people join the stream, by the way. But I had some difficulties with scheduling a stream. Apparently, I'm a rookie when it comes to all this. Um, okay, sorry. Oh, I can make people connection partners. I didn't even know that. All right. Anyway, hi, welcome to my first live stream. I kind of plan or planning to do multiple live streams this year because I feel like I talk a lot about business in Africa. I'm really passionate about it too. I talk about it. I kind of show it too visually, and because I really love content creation, and the best thing when it comes to content creation is to make content about the things that you're really passionate about. But I think the last few years it really got to the next level when it comes to business in Africa, simply because I grew my community around it. For the ones that don't know me, my name is Knessa. I'm an Ethiopian born diaspora. I grew up in the Netherlands, so in Europe. So I speak Dutch and my mother tongue, and I'm really proud of that letter. And I think it's been 3 years now since I returned as an investor, and it started as something very silly because I had this fear in me that I think my parents installed simply because they came out of the country with trauma and they basically transferred that trauma onto me. They meant well, but when I went back to Ethiopia, I didn't see much of what they're talking about. I think a lot of things changed, and luckily, I followed my gut feeling. And honestly, the Ethiopia or the Africa that they're describing is no longer existent, in all honesty. And I think that's why a lot of diaspora should return. But honestly, returning is one of the most difficult things simply because. There's a lot of dangers out there. Am I still here? Where's my screen? 1 second. Bear with me, guys. This is the first time, honestly, doing a live stream. But I wrote down some things that I wanted to discuss today. Let me open that for you. Because my goal today is just to inform you how the process kind of works and why you should do it. And then every live stream, I'll try to do it weekly or bi-weekly. Every live stream, I really want to dive deeper into the how. So specifically in this live stream, I'm targeting diaspora. And when I say diaspora, there are all kinds of diaspora because you probably assume I'm talking about the first generation or the second generation, the people that still know where their passport is from, or the people that are aware of where their families or their backgrounds are from. But we also have diaspora. I call them long lost diaspora. The African Americans, the Caribbeans, people who basically have a history with slavery that kind of lost touch with their identity. They are also considered diaspora, and I think it's time in a way to acknowledge that things shifted in the world. And I feel personally, and to some extent you really have to agree with me here, that it's time to just return, because what's the point of fighting for your existence, because that's what most of them are doing out there. What's the point of fighting for your existence while we already have a place where we belong, and it's actually doing very, very well. And we as in diasporas might be the finishing touch right now to actually get it to that level of what we know in the West, for example. And the time is really now, with everything happening in the world, the wars, the unrest, the everything. Surprisingly, Africa is doing okay. I mean, of course, there are problems left and right, and of course, there are the well-known. There's a well-known unrest, but Africa is comparatively doing okay, and it's more or less predictable in that sense. So, with that said, I do think if you want to go back, it's not as easy as finding a job and then moving your whole life there. I don't think moving should be your first step or your second step or your third step, honestly. First step should be really going there. Like if you know your background, then obviously you can go back to the country where you have a bit, like a history, I would say. But if you don't know where to go, I would start with the country that, after doing some research, that aligns with you, if that makes sense. So if you're an American, let's say an African American, a country that speaks English could be the first step. One that is a bit more developed, like Kenya or Ghana, could be, or South Africa, could be step one, but you also have French speaking nations. You have Portuguese speaking nations. I mean, whatever fits you best, but going there should be really step one to feel what I'm talking about. Because in words, obviously it sounds dreamy, but honestly, when you experience it, it's still dreamy, but it's a culture shock first. It's going to be a major culture shock, and you have to get through the shock first to understand what I'm talking about. So connecting is step one. You really need to connect. You really need to experience what is real and what is not. And when I say that, I mean the news, whatever we learn about Africa from the news. I mean, I can tell you it's fake, but honestly, you have to go and experience it, because not everything is fake in that sense. Of course, there is poverty. Of course, it's underdeveloped in a way. And I don't mean that offensively, but it just needs a little push, needs a little help. And that's where we come in as diasporas. So, like I said, Africans raised abroad, born abroad, African Americans, Caribbean communities, the long lost diasporas, we all have different backgrounds and histories, but in all honesty, let's be honest, we just belong there. So I do think it's time to return. Okay, now let's talk about Africa. And I will not talk from an emotional or the romantic side. I really want to keep it real, because I don't want you to have this dreamy ideal, how do you say it, like idea about Africa, and then all of a sudden turns out not to be that. I don't want you to come in with, in Dutch we call it pink sunglasses, when everything is pink and kumbaya. I don't want you to have that. I want you to have a really realistic view. So the first reason to invest in Africa, I just mentioned it already, but Africa is kind of underbuilt, it's understructured, I should say. Everything we have in the West or outside, we have it in Africa as well, but structure is really lacking, and it's super annoying, because when you see companies now also, they and also new startups, they're like, oh, we launched this, or we came up with this, and then it's fantastic, but then the real system underneath just doesn't work. There's no structure, it's not reliable. We just need somebody who builds the systems. And sometimes it's just as simple as that. You don't need something new. You can just come in with something that is already there, and come with the system that you're used to or known or familiar with in the West, bring it there, and that's it. It can be as simple as that. But Africa is really underbuilt in that sense. So I would say, whatever your job right now, if you like it, let's start there. If you like your job, or if you like the field that you work in, you might as well research what's there in Africa to improve. And I'm talking about Africa, by the way, because I don't want to focus on just one specific country. Africa is quite diverse. If you don't fit in one country, doesn't mean you don't fit in the other. It's that makes Africa cool also. We have North Africa, where it's more of an Arab kind of, region. Then you have West Africa. These people are loud and expressive and so much like extremely different than East Africans, for example. And then you have Southern Africa, where they deal with other problems than, like problems that, for example, East Africa never heard of. But we still are African, so it connects also in a way. So do your research on what kind of problem would you like to solve. I mean, there are many problems. I can literally not even list out the problems that Africa has. And I don't mean that bad or in a negative way, but I just mean it as there's a lot to do. There's a lot of work that we can do right now in Africa. So research what you would like to do, research what's already there and just improve it. Don't come in with something new for now. That's high risk and big chance that you will lose your investment in that. So see it as an opportunity that Africa is underbuilt, okay? We just need to form infrastructure. We need to supply demand thing. For some reason, within Africa, it's very hard to explain this, but they come up with something new. Nobody asked for it. That means that there's no demand. Until you introduce a new product, it takes forever. Why do that? Just listen to the people. People are complaining on the internet for free. Like, you just listen to the people. What are they missing? And that's it. That's it. Use your brain here. And also, basic systems are very incomplete. It's just not working fully. Use that in your favor. See that as something you can solve. And where do you find the solution? Just outside wherever you are or grew up, if it's there. So second reason would really be demand is really growing. Africa's poor, but apparently we're not that poor that we cannot afford luxury things. I mean, go to any African country and you see there's always a group that can afford luxury. And surprisingly, people are spending a lot of money on I call them unnecessary things, but hey, a market is a market. But let's say weddings, birthdays, they celebrate everything these days. Honestly, I wouldn't even spend money on a graduation. It makes no sense. People from my, I have to be careful here, but people from my generation, we celebrated our graduation with a slice of cake. This generation does not do that, okay? They have full-blown parties and they spend money. That means there's demand. I mean, I can share my opinion all I want, but I am here to tell you that you can make money off of this. Why not do that? Why would you stop yourself from that? Just see where there's demand. And obviously, that whole party scene, that whole celebration scene comes from the idea of showing yourself, like showing what you have, and they want to show to others, like, look what I can do and look how fantastic my life is. That is an industry on its own. Like the show off culture, of course, we can think whatever we want off from that, or we can you can have your judgment on that, let's say that. But it's a money-making machine because people do the craziest things to be seen and to show off. That alone is an industry on its own. Like, and it's not about high-end brands or whatever. It's just how can they differentiate themselves from the crowd in order to be seen and be applauded for. So demand. And then, of course, there's demand for many things. And there is demand for quality. There's so much demand for quality. And that's what I mean. Like, don't come in with something new. Spare yourself. Like, don't even think about launching something new and being the first. Nobody cares if you're the first, really. Nobody cares. We just want something good, okay? We already have the first of everything. Can we now have something that works? So, listen to the demand. And Africa is one of the fastest growing populations in the world. And I'm saying one of because I don't think we can beat India on that. But it's really growing fast. And correct me if I'm wrong, but over 50% is young. And when I say young, it's early 20s max. So that is also something to consider, that you can build or launch products that is specifically for the young generation, and with that you already captured half of the market basically. The modernization, consumption is increasing like crazy, and if you're underage you have to close your ears now, but the alcohol industry makes a lot of money, and the biggest supplier are foreign. I think we can have our own suppliers, in all honesty, but that's just a business idea. And always know, people don't stop eating. They always will need water, clean water. For example, water in Ethiopia is not really drinkable. It's not clean, and this is just Ethiopia that I'm talking about. But I think there's no country in Africa where you can safely just drink the water as a foreigner. So there's already something to improve. They will always need power. I mean, one drop of rain can be enough to shut down the whole power supply in a region or in a country. That can be improved. I don't understand why this cannot be improved or hasn't been improved yet. They still need healthcare. I personally draw the line at healthcare. I don't invest in healthcare because there's something in me that just doesn't allow it, because I find it such a strange industry. But honestly, it's needed. We cannot live without it, and there's always money to be made. I recently had something going on in Africa where my family needed healthcare, and I was shocked to the core to learn that hospitals were full. I was like, what? Like, I had an emergency and hospitals were full and like denying a patient. I was shocked, okay, that this would happen. Like, there was a life-threatening emergency, and here we are standing on the street. Unacceptable. And first responding help and all that is just a mess. A lot to improve. Not my personal favorite, doesn't mean it cannot be yours. But also pharma, medication. There's a lot of and I heard this firsthand from the government, that from two countries, by the way, that the pharma industry is really something they worry about, because there's so much counterfeits on the market, and sometimes it's just hard to differentiate, like what is real and what is fake. And this is medication we're talking about. You think you're taking something, some medicine to stop your blood pressure or lower your blood pressure, and it turns out it's just I don't know, some kind of random pill that has no effect, and people still take your money for it, and it's a dark industry, and government really actively is trying to stop it. In the West, I know that there's a tracking system that they follow, that the moment the medication is produced, they track it all the way until you take it, basically. There are systems for it. Apparently nobody came up with the idea to introduce it to Africa. So yeah, another business idea. If you're in the industry, I know there is a lot of money, because just to give you an example, the American pharma industry, like one company with one medication, let's say morphine, the company that sells morphine is making hundreds of billion. And this is a region with 1/3 of the population of Africa. So we're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars, okay? Dollars. I know there's a lot of money to be made in healthcare. I personally just have my doubts. Just don't go in the dark. It's easy to go to the dark side. Make sure you stay on the right path. That's it. And then the barriers. I must say the barriers are low, okay, to enter the market. But then again, the dangers are there's a lot of dangers. And when you talk to diasporas or Ethiopians or Africans or Kenyans or Egyptians, they will scare you to death, okay? They will tell you, no, don't do it. It's full of corruption. It's full of this, and they're gonna scam you, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, it's much easier. If you expect it, the whole journey will be easier. Expect to expect the corruption. Just know that you're going to bribe some people along the way. Just know from the start. Know that it's not easy, but then again, is it easy in the US? Is it easy in Europe? Is it easy in wherever you are, Japan, wherever it's developed? It's not easy either. So that's what I mean. If you're going to fight, you might as well fight it where you are or you're going to in Africa. So, and at least this part belongs to you, and you will not be harassed for the fact that you're there because you have a certain color or certain hair type. Nobody will look at that. You fight for, your growth, but not just for belonging or being there. So choose your fights, I would say. But it's not heavy regulated. Also, startup cost can be quite low, as low as nothing sometimes. There's no saturated competition, which you have in the West. Your competition is very low. Marketing costs are very low. This is what I experienced myself. But then again, you have the whole system is kind of corrupted, and finding the right people can sometimes be challenging. And this is why I said in the beginning, please go there first, connect, build a network. By connecting, you also talk to people, and you start to realize what the whole system is like. And then you will learn that Africa moves through humans. If you don't know anyone, you might as well stay away. Because it's not a matter of posting a job post and selecting some CVs, because that's just not how it works. People, first of all, are not honest on their CVs, and second of all, they don't do the work unless you tell them what to do, depending on the level of people you want to hire. So it's not easy, but it's definitely not impossible. Okay. And then the fourth reason, it's ownership. It's literally yours. Besides ownership on paper, it's literally yours. It's literally your land that you're building. Nobody can kick you off of it. Nobody can come and well, this goes only for Americans, but you don't have to be scared the moment you leave your house that somebody's going to kill you for no reason at all. Believe it or not, outside of the US, nobody's scared of this fact. But unfortunately, I know the Americans are dealing with this issue, which is laughable in a way. Honestly, the fact that you just sit there and accept that and just I grew up in Europe, and it blows my mind. I mean, being hated to that level is just insane to me. But because you got used to it, doesn't mean it's okay. I mean, anywhere else in the world, I don't ever see it happening in Africa that, where white people can step out or would step out and just get killed for being white. Believe it or not, I'm just putting it out there. It's not normal. You just got used to it, or you just accepted it, or accepted the fact. It's crazy. So at least you have one headache less. Okay, let me stop about that. Let's move on. So if you're closer to your ownership, it's just yours, and you can just transfer it to the next generation with ease, honestly. So I found that a very important part. If you own land, that land goes to the next generation, and you're building wealth, like generational wealth. And I found that personally a very big advantage. So, like I said, Africa is not a job market. It's not as easy as, I'm going to find a job and then move to Africa and be, happy ever after. Nope, it's not like that. You really have to build yourself, just like Africans in Africa have to build themselves, because it's a must. Africans are born, how do you say it? Africans are born entrepreneurs. I think you can say that. Because of struggle, you really have to figure it out, so you come up with something, because nobody else is going to do it for you. And this is actually specifically to the Africans or diaspora in Europe. You probably moved to Europe because you thought life would be easier. And I think it is easier to some extent because the government helps a lot and you have welfare. But none of that happens outside of Europe. But then again, are you happy there? Do you really belong there? Are you part of the society there? Will you ever be part? I can actually answer that for you. No, they will never accept you. You will never be part of that. So you might as well invest into something where your next generation at least will be part of. So it's not a job market, it's a builder's market. Don't come for employment, because even if you would find a job, you would be so disappointed by what they offer, and it's very hard work for the amount of pay that you get. Wouldn't do it. But I would recommend you to build systems, because that's what's lacking. It lacks infrastructure. So I would really advise you to do that at least. So yeah, this was actually my presentation. And if you want some ideas, I think this is the best part, where people, where people feel motivated in a way. I wrote down some of the business pitches that I've received recently that I think are the best industries that you get into. Water and sanitation. I mean, sanitation on its own is important, but water, I mentioned it already. Clean drinking water from the tap. Why is that such difficult thing to make? How are we still, rural areas could have that? Why don't we have clean drinking water? Easy one. Figure it out in the West, bring that knowledge here. And then we have waste collection and recycling. I'm not a lefty or green, I don't know, what is it, this environment kind of type. But I know it's important in a way. I just don't have the knowledge of it. But why not start early? I mean, waste collection and see if we can reuse it. How are we going to, how is it processed right now, the waste? And what can we do with it? I know governments are trying actively, especially East Africa, to kind of reduce waste. So that is a business on its own. But I think you really need to educate people before they make that decision to recycle and to be aware of the environmental problem. Food. Food is a my husband calls it a recession-proof investment. Agriculture. I mean, you could drop a bomb and whoever survives will need food. Even if they have no money, they will go and hunt or do whatever it takes to get money in order to get food. So food is always recession-proof. It's same like investing in metal. Everybody's going crazy. Oh, invest in gold, invest in silver. Forget that. Invest in food. Have land where you grow something or with animals or produce milk. I don't know, do something. We'll always need it. And Africa is very fertile and cheap. Land can be cheap, especially outside the big cities. So look into that. That's recession proof. Storage, cold chains, wholesale. Yes, everybody focuses on retail, but what about wholesale? There's not much wholesale and distribution of that. So logistics could also be one of the things that you can look into. A pain in the ass in a way, because the roads are not always comfortable in Africa. So it's not as easy as buying a truck and just, let me go and drive. Safety is also a concern in some regions. But demand is a demand. So you might as well look into it if that is already your industry. Pharmacy, I already mentioned that, just don't go in the dark side, but pharmacy, medication, I mean, even forget food. I said food is the most important. You know what? Forget that. Medicine is even more important. People and this is why I clock out when it comes to healthcare, but people in distress do anything to get better. Morally, this is where I draw the line. But if you're already in the industry, I mean, people are already, they need that medicine, whether they like it or not. They will make sure to get money from somewhere in order to pay for their families. So I might draw the line, but that doesn't mean it's not necessary and there's no demand for it. So I see I'm live on TikTok on this side, and I see from the corner of my eye, liposuction was your best investment. First of all, I didn't do liposuction yet. Now you remind me, maybe at this age, I might think about it. I don't see comment section. Sorry. Are you hearing me, by the way? Look at me talking all this. I don't see comments. I think it's working. So you're telling me you're listening all this time and nothing is working? So you can hear me. Okay, sorry. Double check on YouTube. Can you hear me? Because here my... Okay, yes. Okay. Sorry, it is working. I was panicking. Look at me. Okay. So pharmacies, basic medical supply, mother and child products, birth products. The demand will always be higher than food, honestly. I mean, I think people will literally not eat, wherever you are, by the way, not eat in order to heal themselves. Again, up to you how far you want to go in that industry, but whether I like it or not, it's not about me. Whether I like it or not, there will always be demand, and the demand is higher than food and drinks. Logistics, I just mentioned it already. Warehousing, so storage it's easy money making, honestly. Storage, when people divorce, for example, they have to keep their food somewhere, stuff somewhere. Food also, by the way. But food, anything needs to be put in a storage for some time. People sometimes need extra storage. It's easy money. It's just you have a warehouse, you give them some space, and they pay you rent for it until they don't need it anymore. Delivery services, although that one might be saturated in some parts of Africa, like Nigeria or South Africa. And then repair and maintenance service. There will always be demand for repair and maintenance or plumbing or construction. There will always be demand. These are also recession-proof investments because honestly, people will always need a house. I got an investment opportunity 2 days ago. I always swore I will never invest in Somalia, and here is an offer for a construction company in Somalia. And I don't know what it is. I mean, I don't want to invest in Somalia simply because of the risk, not because I don't like Somalia. I think it's very cool to invest in Somalia, but the risk is so high. Simply the regulations are not in place. The politics is a mess. I mean, where do I even start? But construction, whatever is happening there, it's a good example. Whatever is happening there, they will need housing, they will need water, they will need medicine, they will need everything, actually, that I just mentioned. So, although, storage and logistics are second-degree needs in that sense, just trying to explain what I mean by these recession-proof, what recession-proof investment is. These are just some ideas. And then, of course, luxury. If you make that big jump to the other side, the things that people don't need but still spend a lot of money on, it's really the luxury products. Could be cars, but alcohol, for example, is also one of that. Anything that entertains people, so concerts, music, movies. This is the complete opposite, by the way, of what I just mentioned. But these are industries that, people spend lots of money on. The only thing is, it's not recession-proof. One war, one instability, and you will be the first one to be hit, obviously. I think that's it for today. This is what I prepared for now. It's just to get you rolling, to get you thinking, because it's not as simple as I'm saying, honestly. The journey is going to be a little harder than what I explained today, but I'm here to kind of guide you through it, because what if you choose a company or an industry and you decide to take, actually start and take that jump, then what? It's not that easy. Don't transfer anything to your cousin. Don't transfer anything to your family out there. Please don't go down that road. Go through professionals. There are actually professionals who can help you, who you pay for their time and you don't transfer any money to them. You transfer it to your own bank account, but you need to set that up professionally. So in the next live streams, I will go deeper into that. So just think about it. I gave you food for thought. And next time I will kind of start by listing out how things work, if that's okay. So, because, pick a country and preferably, and I know this is going to sound strange, but preferably don't pick the country where your ancestors are from initially. You might as well, if things go wrong, you want things to go wrong in another country, not your country. Africa, majority of African countries really don't have that democratic system where you can fight for your rights. They just put you in jail and, it's a dead end. If that is going to happen, and they put you in jail for no reason too, So if things go wrong, at least you can get out of a country, another African country, and just leave it at that. And there's a whole story I could tell you about this, but try to test waters at a neighboring country, for example, before you take the big jump, until you understand it at least. So one step at a time, baby steps, as they call it. So yeah, that's it for today. If you have questions, let me know. And I'm going to check the YouTube live stream first to see this camera. Oh my gosh, it's so clear, by the way. It's horrible. If I would have known this, I would have come prepared. I'm just kidding. So where do we pitch you? Meaning? What does that mean? Like, where do you send a pitch? If you mean that, it's this email address. So that's invest@nile.africa. I receive a lot of messages, by the way, a lot. And it's not that I don't want to read them. It's just that I'm working during the day. So my team reads or selects everything for me and presents the ones that are worth looking into. And if you want to know what an investor looks into, so first of all, if you're just there to get the money to get things started, it's not lucrative. Why would somebody just give you money so you could be successful? It doesn't work like that. Investors are here for money. You invest to get money out of it, not to help. And that's also a mentality in Africa that you really need to get rid of. If you invest, you are there for the money. That's it. You can be, insulted by it, whatever you want, but this is just the case. So if you pitch, give me a reason to care. Give me a reason. What is the benefit? I see people sending me, oh, this is an opportunity for you. No, because majority of the pitches that I see, I can use that same money that you're asking me, put my own people on it that I already trust and I know that have the knowledge, and let them do the work. So give me a reason to work with you or to invest in your company. Is it already revenue generating? Am I going to make money right away? Or is this just a risk? Or is it just me putting in the money, taking the big risk, and you can flaunt with it? It's really different. Are there any other questions here? What if the pitch is already working? No, an idea, it's too high risk. You never invest in an idea. And honestly, be careful with an idea, because if you send it to all investors and the idea happens to be great, why give the money to you? I can just start it myself if I would want to. So just be careful with that. Because let's say you have an amazing tech idea and you send it to Amazon or Google or whatever other companies, maybe smaller companies, they might as well just put their own team on it. And you have no rights to fight it, and also no money, probably. Let's see. Do we have more questions? folks, watch Shark Tank. You will learn a lot. For the US, yes, you could learn a lot. I think, what are the requirements? Requirements of what? To pitch? I mean, you can pitch any idea, but generally, okay, so if you want to ever pitch something to an investor, I'm not talking just about me. I just know how investors think. You're just here for the money and that's it. You have to pitch how they will make their money back. Honestly, any investor, they don't care what the idea is. They really don't care. They couldn't care less if it's a brothel or a horse riding company or foods. They don't care as long as it makes them money and as soon as possible. So if you pitch, generally pitch from that angle. Like, if you step into this is what's going to happen within an X amount of time. You will get your money back because we are going to do this and this and this. Makes your life easier, but makes the investor's life also easier. I'm not necessarily talking about me, but it's just how they think. Okay, I have a prototype and I have the system that makes it impossible to be stolen. Send it to me. I put my email there. Can we invest in other African countries as we are diaspora there? We can invest anywhere we want, honestly. I'm talking about Africa because I want you to open your mind. I know majority of my followers are East Africans, either Ethiopians or Kenyans or whatever. They are East Africans, I know for a fact. I know we are very patriotic, but honestly, open your eyes, please. There are other African countries. If it doesn't work in Ethiopia or it doesn't work in Kenya or Uganda, we can literally go to the other side and try again in Angola or in Ghana, or we could try in Zimbabwe. And there are countries who are kind of behind on where we are, believe it or not. And we could just try the product there. And there is something to being a foreigner in a country where you are not too different. If you are a guest, there are certain boundaries that people have that they will not cross because you're a guest. There is some kind of toxicity when it comes to dealing with your own people. Good and bad, by the way. Your own people can support you like crazy, but they can also hurt you the most. So be careful with that. And be open also. Sorry, I got distracted. Be open. What do you think about what in Ethiopia? I cannot read Amarinya Fidel. What about property in Addis Ababa? Guys, I understand property is the only thing people know generally, but expand your horizon a little bit more, a little bit. Just buy land and let others build it. Or invest in commercial real estate. A little bit, change the tone here. Of course, you can buy property, but why only that? Like, there's so much. I will mix the questions. So I experienced that myself. Yeah, your own people. I mean, I don't want to badmouth Africans, but we are a different crowd. Okay, we are a little bit harsh because, and I understand it. That's the thing. Also, I understand it because Africans been through so much. We've seen so much of scamming, so much hurt, so much disappointment that at some point you approach something from that angle. You just assume it's a scam. Do you know how many people call me a scam simply because I talk about crypto? Because I understand it. That's the only thing. I understand crypto. I talk about it, so I must be a scam. That's enough to literally be crossed off the list. So sometimes it's easier for me to talk about crypto in Morocco, for example, or in Nigeria, where they know that I'm not one of them, because they will not go to that length to call me something they don't because they don't understand me, if you know what I'm saying. They don't know me well enough to call me a scammer because maybe they might not have the knowledge, or they are just not smart enough. But your own people will not talk like that. And it's not to badmouth, it's just a reality. But then again, your biggest fans are also your own people. The problem is with fans, they're not as loud as haters. So somebody's saying in Dutch, I speak Dutch. I'm planning to start verkoopautomaten. What is that? Verkoopautomaten. I assume vending machines. Now that is a smart idea. That is a smart idea. I just came back from Japan. Japan has the strangest vending machines on the streets, but I use them all the time. I'm like, why is this machine here? And then the next day you see me in front of that machine buying random stuff, simply because it's there. And you can put everything in that vending machine, like tissues or lipstick or whatever is needed in that region. Like you have vending machines on airports selling locks, like these bag locks. Anything that you need on a day of traveling. And by the way, travelers are easy spenders because you're in a relaxed mode. You're kind of out there and you're kind of enjoying. You think you're enjoying life, so they spend easily. They don't think twice. Also, the time is limited on an airport, so if that's what you mean, yeah, that's a good idea. How do you identify a product when it's a hero or a zero? Look at your competitors. That's also a thing, right? Like in Africa, I noticed that when something is already on the market, they feel like they cannot come up with the same product. You can literally launch a business with products that are already on the market and be as a competitor. The moment you are a competitor, you save so much money when it comes to marketing because, first of all, you already know it works. People are already buying it. There's already demand. So you don't have to introduce the product because simply people already know it. So that makes it easier. The only thing you have to do is put it in a new jacket. So different packaging, that could be enough sometimes, but just add a little bit, I don't know, a different flavor to it. That's it. You're finished. Completely finished. Don't change anything else because then the product will change and people don't understand it anymore. So you identify it by seeing what already works. That's it. And believe me, nobody, literally nobody cares if you're the first. It means nothing besides a few likes on LinkedIn or Facebook. But in terms of finance or money, it means nothing. Zero. She can sell you the pasta and you can cook it. Honestly, at this point, I do think I should start a pasta brand. For the ones that don't know what they're talking about, I don't cook. I burned pasta once and I admitted it, and now it's following me everywhere. So at this point, I got so much traction and the whole pasta thing blew up. I'm sure if I would launch a pasta brand, and it's food, recession proof, if I would launch a pasta brand, it would do well. Momentum. That's what they call it. How often do you live stream on this channel? I'm going to try to do it weekly, but don't pin me on it because I travel a lot for work and it will not be in this setting or this quality, but I will try to do it weekly or bi-weekly. I will announce it on my Instagram mostly. So if you follow me on Instagram, then obviously you'll be able to know. Do you think the African market had infrastructure? Do you think the African market had infrastructure is suitable for online education platform business? Yes, education makes a lot of money, a lot. But change the tone a little. Like right now, what kind of education do you want to offer? I there was a time that I started talking about homeschooling, and all of a sudden everybody was interested in homeschooling. Again, infrastructure. We needed the system. Before before you launch education, please make the system ready. Like from the customer journey. So imagine I am interested, I come to you. Is there a form that I can fill in? Will there be follow-up? Is there somebody who will catch me when I, like trip over all the questions that I have. Where do I go to with all my questions? Is that clear on the website or wherever you want to promote it? The whole customer journey really needs to be top-notch quality. Otherwise, you're wasting time and you're literally standing in line behind, I should say, all other unfinished businesses. So make the customer journey should be top-notch. Especially when it's online, I can also go to a foreign, like a school outside that, let's say Europe or US. I can just follow curriculum there. Let's see if we have some questions here that any business training in the future? Yes, I will do this often. I will do lives often. How about AI? I believe in AI. I don't invest in it, but I believe in it. I mean, with AI, I noticed that AI does not have a lot of information about Africa, for example, or Asia, or any underdeveloped country, actually. So AI has a lot to learn when it comes to Africa, because it's also because nobody's feeding that information. Very simple. I think, does it even have all the? It does not. I'm sure I can already answer my own question. The question was, is AI aware of all the languages in Africa? Can it type or respond in all the languages in Africa or Asia, for that matter? I don't think it can. Because nobody's feeding that information to AI. You need data centers where they literally provide that information to AI. So when you say Africa, which Africa country are good? Africa is Africa. Like any country can be good. Maybe I should mention the ones where you shouldn't invest right now. But then again, also it depends really on the investment. But obviously, I love Eritrea, but even if I want to, it's impossible for me to invest. Somalia is a gray area, actually danger area, like red. Libya is quite gray. Congo, like, listen, if I could invest in Congo now, today, I would literally stop this live and go right now. Obviously, with their current situation, it's impossible. And Congo is probably the richest African country, no doubt. They have everything, every resource you can mention, you can find it in Congo. And that is exactly also their downfall, because people talk about the resources that Africa has, and many countries keep it quiet. You don't know generally what kind of resources, let's say, Ghana has. We don't know what kind of resources Kenya has, or what kind of resources Rwanda has. What is underground, we don't know, and they keep it a secret simply because they're afraid of what happened to Congo. Because we know, literally every person attacks the country. So that's what I mean. Sometimes you need to do your research by yourself, and you can predict by what happened prior how that will affect the country. The more you know about the resources, the more dangerous it will be. So I believe assets and facility management can be a big business opportunity in Africa. What kind of management are you talking about? Because I do think, but I think that already exists. But again, that because it exists doesn't mean you don't or you cannot do it. But I do think as an Airbnb, like rentals. Is that what you mean? Management? What do you think of charcoal industry or packaging in South Sudan? South Sudan is massively growing, and even including me, a lot of investors don't go there yet. So if you have access to South Sudan, you should really do it. Honestly, you should really do it. South Sudan is a very interesting market. But again, it's like Somalia. Like tomorrow, it can be completely different. But it's booming, and that's the thing, whenever there's a war, if you have money to play with, you can always invest in a place where there is an inactive war. The chances are high that you're going to lose it. But if it grows, like South Sudan, it was like nothing, and then it literally went in like this. Like the houses were worth nothing, and then the war stopped, and all of a sudden it got value all of a sudden because people were returning. They needed a house, and somehow people always have money. So that's the thing with war-torn countries. Sudan right now is in a very bad state. But the moment the war stops, it will literally go from below 0 to 100. And if you are in there at that moment, then obviously, yeah, you're gonna make money. That's just how it works. You can say it's morally incorrect, but this is just how investment works. If you don't do it, someone else will do it. And it really in the investment world is either or business world generally, it's really use or be used. So you just choose which side you will be when it comes to business again. When you spot a business opportunity in Africa, how do you approach it? Yeah, that is a difficult one. I actually need a whole live stream just to explain how you go from 0 to a few steps further. I will do that in my next live stream. I think I've been live for an hour now, and I really, really love this. I enjoyed it very much. So I will try to do this on a weekly basis. How do you identify the right lawyers to craft a contract? That is not so hard, actually. First of all, in any country, I would advise you to go to a lawyer, hear what they say, because the first consultation is free anyway, and do the same thing, repeat the same thing 2 or 3 times. Just check, verify the information with others. If the information is verified by others, so if you keep hearing the same story, then you know that you're dealing with the right people. But you need to always verify information in Africa. Not just in Africa, honestly. This goes everywhere. We use, by the way, for the ones that don't know, I started my investment journey in Asia. We currently are growing across Sri Lanka, and I soon want to enter India as well. That's why I learned that they basically, if you master this in Africa, you will have no problem in Asia as well. So I think that's it for today. I want to thank you all for being here, at least on YouTube live stream. TikTok, I mean, I'm not paying too much attention there, but for YouTube, this was my first time doing this. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if I should do this more often. If yes, then obviously I will try to do this weekly or bi-weekly. If you have questions, next time, send it to me prior to the live, and I will try to figure out how this whole thing works, because the first time and it was a mess to get it started. So apologies for that. But thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for listening, and I will see you next time.